Hey guys, welcome to Gop Talk episode 2. And here is Chris.
Back for some more. Yeah. So we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. Lockdown. And we've embraced the feel with these deep red lights. Yeah, man. It's an emergency right now.
Yeah, the world is an emergency. Every country,
Red zone.
red zone. And we just entered red zone.
We're in the red alert state.
Yeah.
Lockdowns. So yeah, we're embracing it with the red light now. And what's cool with this setup, we could see ourselves in the mirror behind the camera. Yeah.
Wow, it's a free monitor. A lot of people set up have an output going to a monitor for them to see it. We're using an $8 mirror from IKEA that's taped to the wall to see what you're seeing. This is amazing.
Genius.
It's like
Yeah, because you put that there before.
I put that there before
we
this
even thought
opportunity
of
even
this.
came. But architecturally, I knew there needs to be a mirror.
Mm.
Mirrors in the kitchen on both sides.
Now it's there, we can put it to use.
Even if it's a small mirror, it's still adding depth to the space. Because a wall is flat, but when you add a mirror, it creates the illusion of depth.
Mm.
So if you have a small space, you can really make it feel bigger by having more mirrors in it. Which is why you see mirrors in here pointing to the mountain, to the view. I actually want to direct my reflection to the main focus.
Yeah, before we were rolling, you were kind of talking about how you envision the concept of your haven here.
Yes.
So yeah, tell me more, because I love it, man. I love it. It's just genius with these lights, the framing, how they flow into the corners.
Yeah. So the first step is the location. X, Y, Z. So you really gotta figure out which neighborhood you want to live in.
Mm.
And for me, it's the McGill ghetto. I want to live exactly here.
Why is it
I'm
called
not
the
even-
ghetto? I've never got that. Because it's like, it's not actually that ghetto here.
It's not that ghetto, and there's quite a lot of spending money in this neighborhood. As I'm learning with all these deliveries that I'm making to my neighbors, it's so cool, man.
Mm.
And
So why is it called the
it's
ghetto?
called the ghetto because there's a lot of trash around, and there's some buildings that are run down.
Yeah, they are kind of old here.
There's a lot of old buildings, and the students can get loud, and there's a lot of parties and a lot of socializing, so it's feeding into that ghetto.
Mm.
In summer, you will walk around and see trash all over the streets. I've even started converting some of this trash into cash. I picked it up from the
you
street.
picked up the gaming chair, right?
I sold that for $70. I put it up, and within 2 hours, someone came over, picked it up, and dragged that heavy ass chair home and gave me cash for it, for something I got for free. So that's one reason why it's ghetto is people will throw out a lot of trash on the street, so it looks kind of dirty. But I love it. Like, I love seeing this.
It's just treasure for you.
It's not treasure. Some of it is treasure.
Some of it's treasure.
Some of it is
Some
treasure.
of it can be treasure.
But I like seeing people's presence, the liveliness of this. Even just stepping into my elevator, there's someone there every time. So that's the first big point I'm making, is you gotta pick the location. I very much want to live in this downtown area where I'm surrounded by people, where I have neighbors above me, below me, to my left and to my right, 4 immediate neighbors sharing walls. I like this. Some people, they want that quiet of the suburbs and that space, but then you could spend minutes walking and you won't even encounter anyone. So you pick your location, and then you pick the building. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's wild if you think about it. I mean, there's somebody there, there's somebody there, there's somebody there, somebody down there.
Yeah, we're surrounded by
back
people.
there.
And we look out there, and we're probably looking at 50,000, 100,000 people right now, just by looking this way. So, yeah, I set myself up in that I'm surrounded by architecture. I look out, I see architecture. I go down on the streets, I see architecture. I enter building after building after building after each delivery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see it. Your mind is just making the connections.
Yeah, so there's so much.
That and this and that.
Exactly. That level of growth is going on. But to the outside world, people don't see the success because they're looking at it in terms of dollar amounts, So.
Which it may translate to one day.
It does. And that's the thing. It's like, right now, there's growth going on inside me that doesn't directly translate to dollars. But in the big picture, it is. But because people are judging from the lens of dollars, they don't care about your inner growth.
It's just one measure. It's
right.
like using a ruler to try and measure, the height of a building or the weight of the building using the ruler. Sometimes, you're not using the right tool to measure the right performance, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Let's go outside. Let's show you the city. It's time to check out the city. Montreal in 2020. All right. I was doing a Zoom call here the other day. Just standing here. It's crazy. We're moving into this work from home culture.
Yeah, man.
It's happening so fast.
Happening so fast. And I don't know if I'm scared of it or if I'm excited because it's just so different,
Yeah.
Part of it I love because it's more private, it's more comfortable, but sometimes I enjoy the challenge of going to move and meet people, and yeah, it's wild. I don't know, how do you find it? Because you're doing both, right? You're doing the immobilier stuff.
Yeah, the deliveries.
Brokering.
And I'm being brokered by Uber. In that case, I'm doing none of the brokering. I'm doing the service providing only.
But your brokering stuff, do you do that online? That's like the Zoom stuff, right?
Exactly. So a Zoom call, would be my online work sometimes. Because it really is practical where you can have this quote-unquote in-face meeting, but online from anywhere and with large amounts of people. Because I've also realized with these Zoom calls is, fitting 100 people in the same space, you actually need a space for that.
Yeah.
But when you have it decentralized, or everyone has their own space, you can have 100 people in a meeting, and they all fit because you're decentralizing the space occupation.
I like how you mentioned decentralization because there's definitely a movement towards that right now.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, there's kind of a battle happening because some people hanging on to the centralized aspect. I mean, you can kind of see it with some governments. They're afraid because they're losing their power and their centralization. And big corporations, they like having their top-down control kind of stuff. And then there's...
Chris, you can play with this.
Sure. Then there's the whole movement. Oh my God. Yeah, there's this whole internet movement now, where people are working from home, they're decentralized.
And there's vast amounts of money being printed directly into people's checking accounts. Isn't that crazy? I just realized this. You nailed it, man. It's like the money doesn't exist. And then the government tells the bank to send you money, and then money appears in your checking account. So money that didn't exist now exists in an individual's checking account.
Yeah, but it's not really there because it's just ones and zeros on a database.
Exactly.
So it's just appearing out of thin air. I mean, you could make it kind of feel real if you go to the bank and draw cash, but not everyone could do that because if they did, there wouldn't be enough cash.
That's right. You'd have a bank run.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, crazy times, man. But it's such an adventure.
It is.
I'm getting a bit chilly.
All right, now it's time to go inside.
It's pretty cold out here.
We showed you the city, and now we're going into the home.
Let's do it this way. Put it here.
Yeah.
And we'll go on this side of the bar.
Oh, yes.
The microphone.
This is not.
Here, we could put this.
You're a genius. Engineering. Right there. You solved the problem with some mess.
It's kind of like how you set up the tripod with the stick when you're on my podcast in spring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Creative.
Yeah, man. When did you come on? It was like April? Or was it May?
Come on to what?
To mine. Remember you came to my area out in the suburbs, in the forest?
Yeah, it was around there.
It was like spring or
It was
like
spring.
Spring, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's fall.
Yeah.
Now it's fall.
Now it's fall.
How time has moved.
And it cycles back and forth.
Next it'll be winter, and then it'll be spring again.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. There's so much wind coming through here. I don't need AC. I have passive AC, passive ventilation.
So explain to me how it works with these buildings, how they're designed. Like, because you said there's a lower pressure in the hallways, right? But is there, like, was that designed into it, or is that just how it happened from circumstance, or did some plan
There's
that?
some designing there, because, for example, fire escape stairwells are pressurized to be positive,
Okay.
so that it pushes out any smoke that tries to come into the fire escape.
So if they're positive, the hallways have to be negative to have the flow coming out of the
in
stairwell.
a way, yeah, because there's some air being circulated within the corridors.
So then how come here we're getting air in? Because if the positive is in the stairwell, like here would also be negative in this unit? I'm trying to wrap my mind around like how the airflow happens in this building.
Yeah,
So it flows in through your windows.
it's coming in through the windows,
and
and
then
it's going into the corridor.
it goes into the corridor, but then where does it go? Because it's not going into the stairwells because they're positively charged.
There's ducts in
Okay.
the stairwell where the air can come through.
Okay, but what about in the hallways? Like, where does it go once it enters the hallway? Is there like a vent in there?
It's going through ducts.
Okay, through the.
So-
Okay.
It's gonna start moving vertically. It comes in horizontally through the duct.
So is there like a fan on top of the building that's just sucking air out or pushing air out?
Yes, there's fans pushing air out of the building.
Okay.
So that's creating a suction from
Okay,
the
okay.
corridor and shooting it out. That's why you'll see steam rising sometimes. That's like the exhausts of the building, and the hot, because it's like hotter air. Because in the winter it's like below zero, and the air being exhausted out of the building is above zero. So it's immediately condensing, and that's why it looks like smoke. That's just hot air being exhausted out of the building. That's why there's the corridors are in a way sucking. They have some suction. And works perfectly with this apartment positioned towards the mountain, because we're getting wind crossing over Montreal, coming straight into the apartment and being funneled towards the corridor.
So you don't need AC.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. To me, these buildings are just amazing. Like, just picturing the air coming in, and moving up and out. It's like they're giant filters in a way.
Yes.
Like city-sized filters.
Yes. Especially at this height. It's adding so much space to the land, because it's like you're stacking land on land.
Yeah, the verticality of it.
Yeah. And you're getting all this vertical surface as well to bounce down the light, and also the wind will channel through it. It's like the building, I see the buildings as these vertical caves. It's like we got out of the caves that were naturally made, that was creating a space.
In the mountainsides.
In the mountainsides. But then we started creating our own mountains, our box-shaped mountains. And what's interesting is then there you have the space in between your mountains, which are the streets and the alleyways. And
you know, that gives me an idea.
It becomes like you're in canyons at that point, especially when you're in a more downtown area. You're like walking through the canyon of man-made mountains. So I'm always telling people where we are here is you have man's mountain and then nature's mountain, and we're in the valley, right in the middle.
The organic and the synthetic.
And they're the same height. It just, this one is made up of boxes, and this one is one continuous piece. Like...
But it's also funny because these are very angular.
Yeah.
They have like a lot of straight lines, and the mountain there's like no straight lines there. It's
exactly.
all curves.
It's all curves.
It's all soft, and here it's very hard edges. Yeah. No, but I was gonna say, you're Armenian, right?
Yeah.
And your people came from mountains.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's in your blood to want to live in an environment like this.
Exactly, and I've positioned myself like at the midpoint. Not at the top of the mountain, not at the bottom, at the middle. So I'm always enjoying going up or down. As I said earlier, I feel like I'm mountain biking.
Yeah.
With cars. Mountain biking with cars.
Yeah, when you're Ubering on your bike.
Yeah.
In the hilly streets of Montreal.
Yeah. And this is where you have the highest density of restaurants.
But also the highest density of other people doing the same job you're trying to do.
Exactly.
So you're all kind of vying for the same deliveries.
Exactly. It's like Uber has created competition between their workers. It's crazy. They've created a system where I don't want to see other people doing my job. You know what I mean? It's like, it kind of, because I see so many people doing it, and instead of being happy for them, there's a part of me of like, they're taking my deliveries.
That's weird, man.
You know, but it's like they created that system just by not putting a cap. Because if we each got a steady stream, like a good stream of deliveries, it would benefit everyone there. But when you have an overpopulation, you're sharing the same resources with much more people. So now everyone suffers. Like everyone gets a bit less that way. So it becomes hard to actually make a more consistent living with it. This is great as like a part-time thing, but it is kind of hard to do it at a full-time rate.
It's just not reliable.
It's not. That's the thing. It's not reliable. So it's like it's so much fun to do, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm getting paid to do this. And then the other side of me is like, yeah, it's just it's not as consistent. That's one of the things with these But
that's the beauty.
That's the beauty of it too.
That's what I love, because I do the same thing. Not here. I live in the suburbs, so it's a little different. but like it's just every day is a little bit different. It's a little bit new, and
you have no boss.
Yeah, you have no boss, and you can just take time off whenever you want and come back to it when you feel like it. Because I get bored of it sometimes. I'm sure you do too, or frustrated. I guess frustrated is the right word, because not bored. It's always,
exciting.
Yeah, it's always exciting and fun, but it's just the frustration.
Yeah, there's
just
a
like
frustration.
you said, sometimes you could spend like 2-3 hours without a delivery.
Exactly.
There's no demand. But I was gonna say, because if you look at it from the perspective of the clients, the people who are ordering food,
it's perfect.
It's so good.
Always someone there.
Always
close by.
And the more of you there are ordering food, it attracts more people to come deliver for you. So it's like the demand fills itself with the supply.
It does. So it will provide a better service at the detriment of the people providing the service.
But is it really a detriment? It's not really so much a detriment. Because, I mean, you're still loving it, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like calling it a detriment's not fair to how freaking cool it is.
You're right. You're right.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Well, this is the frustration part.
The frustration.
That fits in the frustration, because the rest is like, wow, this is fun.
Yeah, and man, hearing your stories of how it operates here, because it's so different how it works here versus where I am in the suburbs.
Yeah.
I can't do walking in the suburbs.
Impossible.
The distances are too large. I can't even do biking.
You won't. Yeah.
I'll tire myself out within 2 deliveries. Because the distance, like some deliveries can be 10 kilometers in either direction. I mean, yeah. But over here, you have this whole different system. You've got the bag you put on your back. I mean, I have a car. I just shove it into my back seat. Deliveries. Because you carry your deliveries.
Exactly. Because I realized, like, doing so many deliveries with the cars, like, I'm using all this mass to move such a small mass. Because I'm like, I could move this with my body. Right? Because if I was delivering 4 people, I can't do that walking. Yeah. I need a vehicle. So for Uber people, Uber,
you need a passenger
you need a car.
Yeah.
But with deliveries, you don't need a car. Because you could even do it with the motorcycle. And dude, I've seen no one doing it with a motorcycle. Like they use the scooters.
It's
like
because you're not allowed. There is no option for motorcycles.
But you could still do it with either the car or the biking account. So it's cool to be able to use different vehicles when you're in this area. In your area, there's only one vehicle you can use. It's the car.
Only car.
Yeah.
Unless I use my motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try setting that up next year.
Because
you've inspired me with your system, the backpack, and then you can have a box on your bike.
Yeah.
Except I'd have a motorized bike, which would work well in my area.
Yeah.
And I'd save so much money on gas, man.
Exactly.
That's the big one.
Right now, I'm not spending $1 on gas because I'm spending it with my legs by pushing.
I mean, you probably have to eat like what, an extra $50 of food?
Yeah,
for the calorie intake.
It's for the calorie intake.
You're expending calories.
But then I'm also getting healthier.
Muscling your way up the mountain.
Muscle, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, I like how you brought up my genes into this, because I do love it. Mountain area.
It's in your blood, man.
It's in my blood.
It's the history.
Even Sarian.
The genetic history.
Yeah, Sar means mountain.
For real?
So it's kind of like Hagop, man of mountain, kind of.
Yeah.
Context.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be buried on this mountain too, at the top. I'll get to the top when I'm dead. For now, I'm at the middle. As a life, yeah.
You move up
until I'm buried at the top.
Yeah, it's funny, man. and like my people, I'm Polish. My people also kind of came from the hilly region, but it was more forest-like. Like when I go visit my family on the farm, they're like just outside of the hilly region of Poland, and then it kind of moves into mountains. But they're more on the foresty, rolling hill kind of area, and I like living in my area, and it happens to be a more forested edge of civilization kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not quite farms. I mean, but you saw, right? There's like the ancient farms there.
Yeah.
That are starting to grow
You are
into
at the
forests.
edge of the city.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way, because it's rare that you have that much vacant land.
Mm-hmm.
Find me one lot of vacant land here you want. It's like the most vacant land is a parking lot that's about to get turned into a 40-story condo building.
Excavated. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. First year anniversary of being here.
When was it? November?
October 1st.
October 1st.
2019.
So it's a little more than a year now.
Yeah, it's a year and
Nice.
7 days.
Yeah, man, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You did a great job at this place.
Yeah. The vision is manifesting. And this is the early stages.
Small
I'm very
scale.
close to signing leases, man. I'm going to become a subletter. The WeWork, I'm going to use the fucking WeWork model. Build a real estate empire without any cash. Just sign leases. And make profit off the leases.
It's
I'm seeing so much
drop shipping.
opportunity. Yeah. Huh?
So it's kind of,
It's okay. Yeah, drop shipping for apartments.
yeah. Oh fuck, man.
It's all good.
Here.
Wow, the light looks. Oh, it is purple.
Yeah, we could change it again.
Ah, there we go. It's like
Yeah.
greenish yellow. Wow. Wow. And this space, it's like a home office studio all in one.
Yeah, you've really rolled it up into like this multi-purpose
Space
It's
in
sick,
450 square foot,
Yeah.
plus 100 square foot on the balcony. I think it's just like, it's crazy how I crammed in such a, not crammed, it doesn't feel crammed.
No, it doesn't
Because
feel cramped.
I've left enough space in between what is there to really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the spaces between the things that are the background. They're the supporting cast
Yeah.
for the things that are here.
You see this half wall here? It's crazy because I've never experienced the back of the couch until I put it here. Where it was in Toronto,
Against the wall.
against the wall. Now it's a wall for Tubbs to walk on. Towards her penthouse and food. There, she's got the townhouse there, the Tubbs townhouse, which she designed it in 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes of coming here, she pushed the Kallax box against the wall, jumped in on top, and hid in there for 3 days.
In her little cubicle.
In her cubicle, yeah.
Do you think it's because she was used to being in a confined space? Because you said she was in like cat prison in
Yeah,
SPCA.
exactly.
So maybe she wasn't ready to yet fully leave. She was a little attached.
And she needed privacy, where I'm not looking at her and chasing her and hugging her.
Where is she right now?
She might be at the neighbors. She goes into the neighbors unit now. So she spends some of her time with my neighbor next door and with me.
And it's open? She just lets her in?
He lets her in.
Oh, it's a he? I thought you had a girl on that.
Well, I used to have, there were girls on all the sides, but this girl is gone because of Corona. And she's subletting it. Yeah.
Red alert, Corona. Let's make it red again.
Red alert.
The red zone.
So Tubbs is living in 2 units right now. Is crazy.
She's expanded her horizons.
She's moved there before I even signed its lease. That's insane. Cause she's so cute. People just let her in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, you can play here."
It's like we have to use currency to convince people.
She uses cuteness.
She just is on another level.
Yeah. Yes, slowly expanding to the sides. Tubbs is already on that expeditionary work. She's the scout.
She's a scout.
She's scouting.
She's scouting.
With a 6-inch ledge. And the day will come when this balcony will be won. Dude, we could do laps from that edge.
Like a figure 8, man. And then we can open the door and come around.
You're right, because the balconies are connected on those sides. Just 1 unit at a time. You know? Just sign 1 lease at a time. Bang, 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 bang.
But what drives you to want to expand this way?
To share these spaces with people.
Because I've been really looking at myself recently and trying to figure out what motivates me and why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm really struggling to really understand, what this whole drive and motivation thing is. Because why don't we just all sit back, relax, and enjoy our cave and not ever want to venture out? Why are we not happy with that, man? It's like nobody's really happy with that.
Yeah.
But we could be. But there's just something about leaving the cave and growing, Yeah, it's tough because sometimes I really struggle with these ideas, figuring out why I want to move, why I want to do what I do. I'm a bit of a lazy guy most of the time. I kind of just like hanging out in my cave most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's yeah. It's just a question.
It's good you're asking questions. Because if you didn't question, you'd stay in your cave forever. It's like...
The mental cave.
The mental cave, exactly. The mental cave. Because you can be... As you said, why can't we stay in the cave and be... If you're in the right state of mind, wherever you are, you feel at home. You could be outside, inside. You feel at home inside.
Yeah.
So there's this inner transformation going on, and the questions are there to slowly push you along. So it's good. We have to be aware of these questions, and I feel the answers slowly come to us. We want it all right away. That's why I realized with myself and manifesting all these dreams, it happens like one step at a time. And I feel like we can get so impatient.
Rushing it, eh?
Rushing it. Also rushing it to the point where you're not taking time to step back. And ask these questions. So many people are not asking questions because these questions are hard to deal with. Because then you realize that there is this part of you that is frustrated and seeking a purpose, a fulfillment, and work you love doing. And that's been the challenge I've been pushing for ever since I quit my job, is how can I do work, how can I have a job, quote unquote job, that I love doing. And I'm slowly figuring it out. Even if I make like $67 in one day, that's cool, man. But I love that $67 that I made. You see what I mean? And what's crazy is like a part of me that's really proud now is 5 years ago, say I'm making the same money today, the same amount of money, but doing work that I really enjoy. And I feel like I've grown a lot, mature enough to the point where I prioritize finding work that is compatible with me.
Right.
Because that can be a great job too, but not for me. You know? It's kind of hard to find your place that you feel good in because there's so many voices around us.
Well,
and that's another part that's causing a lot of confusion, is because deep down we kind of know what needs to be. Like, when you really look inside, you can find the answers, is what I'm saying. And you can often hear the answers, and they're being told.
The path is clear.
The path is clear. But then we also have all these external influences where we are taking other people's criticism seriously, where people are saying, do this, don't do that, don't do that. Even I realized earlier, like, there are times when I'm very commanding, you know, like, why am I even talking like this? I just had that awareness for a second. I'm like, holy shit, why am I telling Chris to go do this? Fuck it, he should do whatever the fuck he wants. But it's like, I've also been conditioned to talk like this because my family talks like that. So now I have to uncondition myself where I'm not, you see what I mean?
I see what you mean.
So there's all this conditioning as
process.
well that's gone into this picture, and we have to overcome a lot of concepts and things, that all this conditioning that's been taught to us, for us to truly be true to ourselves. Because a lot of the conditioning is also counter what our hearts are telling us.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I found... Here's the freaking challenging thing that I'm struggling with right now. I mean, yeah, there are all of these voices telling me to do things, but I've been realizing, why don't I like doing certain things? See, I used to not like school, and I'm back in school now, and I'm enjoying it now. But it's something I would have never thought I'd enjoy back in time. So when you were mentioning I have to find something that's right for me, and that's not right for me, why is it not right for you? How come you can't just change your perspective or your outlook on it to then make it enjoyable for you as well?
You can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
See, and I feel like I'm discovering this, that it's all just a matter of perspective, that there's really nothing that's not fulfilling work. Anything could be fulfilling work if you just adopt the right mindset for it.
It's true.
But then at the same time, there are some things that are just innately like you just feel like you don't belong there.
Yeah,
So,
that's that feeling that I'm talking about.
yeah.
Even if it's like good work, you know, there's something that's pulling you even further, the drive that we were talking about. Because there is this drive.
But it's funny because this drive, at least for me, works in kind of two ways. Like, sometimes the drive conflicts. Like, I feel like I have two drives sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, one's driving me towards the things I don't like, to be like, Chris, do this, experience what you don't like. Because some of the most positive, most beautiful things I've ever learned from life were because of some of the toughest jobs I've ever had. And I'm sure you can agree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know
and
exactly
it changes
what I'm
your
talking
perception.
about. Exactly.
It then changes your perception.
Exactly. So, yeah, but it's just scary.
Yeah.
And it demands a lot of courage to put yourself into that really challenging situation.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's why we go and hide in our caves.
It's
we don't have to change.
Thing to do.
Yeah, we go to our comfort zones, and I've been listening to Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins audiobook, and it's like he's really encouraging people to get out of their comfort zones. I completely agree with that. It's where you grow the most, when you're out of your comfort zone.
And you're just stretched a little bit.
Yeah.
Not too much though.
But even if you're getting stretched a lot, you can always strategically take a break when the time comes. When the opportunity rises. It's just that some people get really stuck where they're so overloaded with their responsibilities that not that they can't take time to themselves, they don't take time to themselves. Because we have 24 hours in a day, and we decide how to spend these 24 hours. And
see, I feel like people use that as an excuse sometimes. They're like, well, I'm so overloaded, I don't have time to think about how to manage my time, and therefore I just won't.
Yeah, but that's your priorities.
Stuck. Exactly.
Because you're prioritizing working an extra 4 hours a day over taking an extra 4 hours a day of time to yourself to ask these questions, to explore new things, to actually work on those drives, those dreams, passions you have that are really pulling you, you know? So it's a game also of prioritization, because we have a finite time. We can only do so much, not just per day, but within our lifetime. Like, we're all gonna die. Everyone's gonna die. And for some people it's a few years, and other people it's many, many years. But it's like we learn to accept that.
So here's a bit of an example of the push-pull I've been feeling. You know, you could work all the time if you're super motivated. And if you're pursuing something that you think, this is the right move to do, this is building me up to a future where I can then take more time off. So it's like an investment in a way. You're taking a bit of extra now for a little bit less later. But then on the other hand, see, this is the push-pull I'm talking about, you know. So that's like the push, and then there's the pull where there's something that tells you, okay, hold on, slow down a bit, maybe this is too much. The thing you're envisioning is just around the corner. That corner seems to be growing further and further away. Each time you take a step forward, it's like it moves one step away. And yeah, it's easy to get stuck.
It's so easy to get stuck.
Just get stuck in that mindset of, okay, I'm going to work now to not work later. And then later comes and you're like, well, if I work even more now, I'll get even more later. But then never comes around.
That's right.
Just one step away at all times. So there's that push-pull, and you have to find a nice balance between the two.
Life is challenging. Life is challenging, and each challenge is an opportunity for us to ask questions and to grow, and to have new experiences that shape our perceptions. And we can really direct this by the actions that we take, because your actions literally put you into experiences that are showing you something.
Yeah, I've been kind of feeling that life is almost like a story or a book.
It is, and I feel like it's already written, and we're just like playing it like a video. The whole video is there, and we're only seeing the sliver of the play button.
But it's a lot more complex than that, because it's not like it's linear. There's
exactly.
Like infinite
there's
branches.
There's depth to that.
There's many ways you can take.
There's many possibilities. Exactly.
Almost like all the possibilities
exist simultaneously as spaces.
They're just stacked.
They're stacked infinitely. Infinite. That would be like the fifth dimension, because there's a fourth dimension of time. The possibilities would be more in the fifth dimension. Higher dimension, 6th, 7th, where you're just extruding these spaces, because you start with a point. You extrude the point, you get a line. You extrude the line, you get a plane.
2D.
You extrude the plane,
3D.
you get 3D. Now you extrude 3D,
Across time.
you get time.
4D.
4D.
And then you
extrude
those.
that again, and you get 5D. At that point, you're having infinite possibilities.
So what's going
All
on?
stacked
What's
on
happening?
the same space as a standing wave. It's like that's what's crazy with just the simple standing waves theory is you can stack infinite waves, infinite energy, aka a matter, right? Because energy equals matter, meaning you can stack infinite number of realities and universes and all this stuff that appears material onto the same coordinates.
But what's funny?
Hyperdimensional coordinates.
What's funny is we don't know how to deconstruct a wave into its constituents because there's too many possibilities.
Yeah.
But if you know the constituents, you could very precisely say which wave created that, or which wave they're combining into. You see what I mean? It's like a one-way function.
Yeah.
If you're given a wave, you have no clue.
Well, we don't possess the keys to
how
go in the
many
opposite
waves
direction.
build up that standing wave. You don't know the exact qualities of those waves. You see what I mean? We don't know how to go backwards just yet, but we know how to build and stack them, just not unstack them.
Yes. You're right. Yeah.
But I wonder if we could figure out a way to unstack them. If there's some way we can grasp how to pull them apart.
Wow. That would be some very sophisticated technology.
I mean, even mathematically, if it's possible.
Yeah, our math is not even at
Our
that
math's
level.
not
And
there
math
yet.
is like about 500 years in front of the applications. Right? Like, who was doing anything with calculus in the 16th century, 17th century, you know?
And now it's commonplace, you know?
Yeah, and software is running that math. It's like you don't even need humans doing any of these calculations.
So now our quantum physics, we're just finding ways to apply it. And it's kind of coming into like cryptography, and there's like Bitcoin that uses these one-way functions where it's like you could stack the waves if you know their exact properties, but you can't do it backwards.
Yeah.
You see? And we're just discovering new ways of using it. But I'm saying, what if you project further and you find a way of unstack? Like, is it even possible? Can we unstack these waves? Can we unstack the...
Well, as a three-dimensional being, it would be I don't know how you'd experience that. I see it more as traveling. All we could do as a three-dimensional being is attempt to travel between these waves.
What do you mean travel between them? Like, how would you travel between these different...
With a portal.
Wavelengths. What's the portal?
I don't know. The portal is just a door between 2 points in reality.
I think you know what the portal is. And I think you've alluded to it before.
It's inside yourself. Yeah, that's one portal. But I'm also saying there can also be technology that will allow you to do this eventually. But for now, it's accessible. Every point is accessible within you. There's just so much depth to be explored. It just no one's even going to question, can I explore any point in the universe when you're worrying about paying your bills and you're in the middle of a pandemic where people are treating each other as threats.
Right.
You don't have time to ask these questions because you're in survival mode. Yeah.
So you gotta exit the red zone.
Yeah, into the purple zone.
That's right. Yeah, because we're limiting ourselves as a society. But we don't necessarily have to. And this is another big question I have. Why do we do this? Why is the collective society going through this right now? We didn't have to. We chose to bring this upon ourselves. This isn't just some freak accident that happened. I mean, yeah, you can argue COVID just appeared.
But it's our reaction.
It's the reaction,
reaction,
right? It's the actions we took in response to this that created the problem that we're all experiencing.
Fear. People are afraid. People are also very afraid to die. So this is making people aware. And our reaction is fear. Because people are fearful and insecure.
Maybe.
And the rulers, the people in power, are fearful.
They're very afraid.
Very, very afraid. Especially they're very attached.
Mm-hmm.
They're
so many attachments. To their power.
They're attached to the power. They're attached to their lives. They don't want to die. And their wealth is blowing up right now. It's crazy how much money the wealthiest people are making. It's like now everyone's a centibillionaire. You know? At first it was just 2 years ago or 3 years ago, dude. There was no 100 billionaires around. Supposedly. Yeah, like on paper. Publicly. Of course there were 100. There's even trillionaires.
Yeah.
There are trillionaires
Kings
today.
And queens.
Yeah. But it's like now you got even Elon Musk is like 100 millionaire close to there now. You know, it's just like.
But even that's just paper.
It's all paper.
Most of his wealth is just paper.
Yeah, it's stocks. It's like your net worth is blowing up over your stock valuation.
But the funny thing with the stock market and the market cap, you know, if I go and buy one share, my demand pushes up the price just a little bit. So let's say I go and I buy 1 million shares. I could push the price up by maybe $1 per share, but that dollar is multiplied across all the other stocks. So I can use just a small amount. You know, I just inject my demand into a pool of, say, 1 million stocks, but there's 1 billion stocks. So my demand gets multiplied, and then Elon Musk, who owns most of the stocks, his net worth goes up as a multiple of my demand. Do you see how that functions? Do you see the mechanism of like how it multiplies wealth? But it's all on paper, and it can go down just as quickly. Yeah. As soon as the demand dries up.
Or the stock prices drop.
Yeah, but they drop just a bit and the market cap moves enormously.
Yeah.
Like just me buying one stock probably pushes up the price a fraction of a cent. But then his net worth can go up more than the stock I actually purchased.
Yeah, because you got millions.
Right.
Of shares.
Like let's say I buy a stock for $100 and I push the price up by 1/100 of a penny. So if he has, I don't know, 100 million shares, 100 million times 1/100 of a penny. This is a lot of math, man. This is a lot of zeros.
That's a million pennies, which is $10,000.
$10,000, and I only bought $100 worth of shares. So I purchased $100 from him. But you see how it multiplies the net worth that way? So it's just...
Exactly. Most net worths are based on
It's
stocks.
not real.
Yeah.
But it's not real because I didn't actually buy $100 worth of product. It's just... We've built this financial system that operates in these really wild ways where there's this strange functioning where it like multiplies the effect, you see? Yeah. But man, it's just, it amazes me. It just amazes me because $100 billion. Can you imagine? It's incredible. Although, I feel like these ultra wealthy people do get a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And I don't think they quite deserve it. I actually think they deserve the money. They're not all of it. And yeah. No, but what I'm trying to say is, like, look at what Amazon has done. Use it, I use it, everyone's using it. Even in the middle of this giant lockdown, where other supply chains failed to function, Amazon continued. They pushed through. Their workers managed, the leaders managed to keep.
They became an essential service almost.
So in a way, I'm not mad that they're worth this much, because they've given us something we need. So there's a reward that they should be proportionally paid, no?
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a bit of an unpopular opinion to hold right now, because a lot of people
it's
are out.
true that they provide all this service to people, but then people are upset over the way they run their business and the way they treat their employees and people. Because you're putting the customer first at the expense of other people.
Right. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I'm like used to these optimization problems. You know, like I imagine it like a triangle.
Well, then there's the people problem.
Yeah, you've got like.
Is that part of the equation?
The three. No, it is part of the equation.
Yeah.
You've got the three, I guess, aspects you're trying to optimize: customers, employees, and the shareholders. And the more you stray to one corner, you leave the other two alone, and you leave them out to dry.
Yeah.
But you can't be directly in the middle. Can you?
Or maybe you have a company with no shareholders, so then that whole part of the triangle is gone.
But then you'd have a line, so then you'd be fighting between two sides still. So can we ever escape this optimization problem?
I don't know.
Because if
you very strong leadership.
If you eliminate the shareholders, then you just have a power struggle between two competing sides of customer and employee. Because I would assume in this case, the whatever values contained.
Well, not
in the
necessarily,
gets
because you
spread.
You can help both of them. You could share more of the profits with the employees. This way, the customers get what they want at the good prices. It just, instead of making a bit more profit as a big corporation, you make less profit because you gave more of that profit to the people who created the profit. So you can be in a kind of middle point where you're serving both. It's just, you need that level of compassion, that level of empathy where you see each one of these people as you. And you'd be like, why am I treating them like this? Why are they putting in all this work, 12-hour shifts, and they're just getting this? Why are we even doing this kind of
I completely agree. But
yeah. Why can't more be shared by the people?
If this was so blatantly true and obvious, why is this not happening already?
Because people are greedy and fearful.
So how can we use the greed constructively? See, because what I've been really trying to explore with our whole capitalist system is why? And how do you use the most vicious parts of human psychology, like the greed, constructively? And I actually think that the shareholders are valuable. See, I don't know. Remember we used to talk, I used to say you want to share more of it, but this triangle, I think, is a much more stable structure than just a line. See what I mean? It's the same when you're building bridges. The triangle is more stable than a square or a line because the sides balance each other out. One can never really win, and you have a center point where the strain is kind of going through. But yeah, it's just a matter of kind of engineering a good system for this and allowing people to kind of express their wants and needs more openly. because I feel like we shut down a lot of this communication. People don't talk openly about what their wages are. People, as if you're a manager, you know, you're not going to talk openly about how you treat your managees. I mean, maybe you do, but I don't hear it often from people. People don't. They kind of leave work at home. They don't talk about it. So I don't know, man. Give me your opinion on this, because my mind's racing right now. I'm really trying to solve this complex problem.
I don't think you can solve this problem because you're just thinking. We have to go out there. We have to build some fucking companies and test these ideas and learn as we go and adapt.
Yeah.
What's the point of... Like, if we want the change, we have to be the change, is what I'm saying. And I'm realizing now it's really fucking hard to be a CEO, motherfucker. It's like,
so hard,
you
man.
are responsible for everything. And that's what people aren't realizing with these kind of dreams, is that when you're an employee, everything is like fed to you, just like in school. I find like the school life and the employment life are very similar. Where you're literally doing a 9 to 5, like you're in there at the same time, and then you're being fed like, do this.
It was designed this way.
Yeah, it was designed this way. So I guess what you're asking is, why can't the employees have more agency in what they're doing? And I'm sure there are many companies. There's companies like this, but why isn't it happening at a bigger scale?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just like, it's such
a feeling I've had is that there's just not enough freedom. Or no, the freedom's there.
Yeah.
We're all free, but people don't believe that they have the freedom. Because if we all thought we had a choice to just quit your job and move to a better place that your voice will be heard, these problems will solve themselves. You know, people will move to the areas where they're needed and their skills can manifest as more valuable or more happiness, whatever you're looking for, you know. Yeah, no, but you're and you're right about the whole CEO stuff, how hard it is. And see, that's what I was trying to say before. Like, I have a lot of respect for these rich ass motherfuckers.
Yes. They took on a lot of risk, have a lot of liability.
I mean, look
and receive a lot of hatred.
Look at what Jeff Bezos is managing. He's probably managing like 100,000 people or more.
Yes.
And he's got all of that shit to worry about. Like, in a way, it might also be a curse.
But there's a lot of reward as well.
100 billion.
100 billion. It's
but
not
it's
just
not.
that.
It's not just that.
It's the worldly power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one of the rewards. But here's the thing: does all that worldly power end your suffering? That's the real fucking question, man.
Does it?
Is like, no amount of worldly power is going to change your perception from one where you're suffering to one where you're letting go. It's like, all this discussion is like about this outer change, but why aren't we discussing an inner change where we overcome fear and greed and naturally stop treating each other like slaves? You know, as long as fear prevails in our hearts, we will control each other. We will take away each other's freedom. That's how we bring about the change inwards, and that will manifest in our actions and in the companies that we build. It just, that generation of people that inspiring the next generation, it's like, because there's been so many cycles of fear and greed, and they're perpetuating over time, but then there's going to be a wave. There's waves coming and happening of overcoming that, because one action can perpetuate over so much time. Say you kill someone, you've killed all of that person's potential descendants.
The ripple effect.
And it ripples. But imagine you save someone, and now thousands of people will exist that will never have existed. So
I feel like it's the same
So-
with thoughts and ideas.
yeah,
If you could plant a seed in someone's
exactly.
mind, give them
So there's
hope.
been so many seeds of fear that have been watered all this time. We're slowly gonna have to water the seeds of love and compassion, empathy, and generosity, selflessness. It's like those seeds need to water more, and the companies, the governments, and all that will change because they're just people. All of these
collection of
organizations, a company means like a company
Many
of
people.
people, a group of people. These organizations are just people,
Mm-hmm.
and the change has to happen in people's hearts, in people's deep within themselves. And everyone's so focused looking outside on this material life and survival and all that so caught up with the fear of death for now
Yeah.
that these questions are not asked. These inner questions are not asked. It's all outer questions of how do I solve this with more technology? But then you use that technology to enslave people. And next thing you know, you've designed an AI that enslaves the people who created it.
That's right.
Because I feel like if people, like that's where it's heading.
Well, I mean, we're already experiencing
we're already
it through
experiencing
Uber.
that. Yeah, our boss is the AI right now.
It dictates where we move. It dictates how we do it.
Who we meet.
Yeah. I mean, we just choose to see it in a positive light, but you can easily interpret it as this evil thing too, right?
Yeah, and I feel that's where governments are going to go, where they're going to just be running it on AI. And then the rulers don't become humans anymore. They become program, living on hardware, controlling human beings.
Instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Right? We used to write the program. Now it's like the
The
program,
program
us.
writes what we do.
Yeah,
Oh, you should do this job.
it's funny.
Oh, we need more mechanics. Get all these human. You see, just like you can't just look at it from a purely efficiency, problem-solving level.
Mhm.
There's this very inner world, emotional realm that is not being considered.
But it's also just a matter of perspective. See, because it's a tool after all. It depends how we use it.
Yeah.
You know? Fuck a hammer. I could use it to build a house, or I could use it to take a house apart.
Yeah.
So you could create and destroy.
It's true.
It's up to us to just choose which path we want to go down with that. Yeah. But you know, for as much as we do focus on fear, it still has a purpose.
Yes.
It's part of life.
Yes.
So it's here for a reason.
Yes.
What are some of these reasons? What do you think?
Yeah. I agree.
Because fear is also a driver. When I was talking about the conflicting drives, fear is a big push.
It is a big push. But there are other drivers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Love can be a drive.
Absolutely.
Compassion. Like wanting to share something with someone.
See, I like to think of the fear as a push and the love as a
Yeah.
pull. Because the pull is like, it's asking you nicely, you know?
Yeah.
Come here, it's attracting you. But the push is forceful. It's like, do it.
It's true.
You know? So it's two sides of a coin. But they both serve a purpose. And I don't know, man. I feel like I've been embracing the fear recently. Really trying to get into it. Dive into it. Explore how deep I can go into the fear, how lost I can get in that. Because it's also part of life and it's also exciting. And there's a way to do it while you're still aware of it. So it doesn't dictate you, but so that
You're aware of the fear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we can't just cast it into the shadow.
That's right, or else it builds inside you. Awareness clears it out.
You know, there was an imagery somebody told me. They were equating the shadow and the light, the fear and the love.
Chocolate wafer.
Man, why not? Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll get back to my story later.
Wow, this has been going on for over an hour now. It's like great talk. Bang, bang, bang.
Right, so if we see fear as a shadow, as you run away from the light and into the fear, the shadow you cast gets smaller. So the closer you get to the fear, kind of smaller it gets. And the more in perspective it becomes, and you become aware of it, and you can almost control. You can't control it completely. You never can. But it's manageable. But if you ignore it, and you run away from your fears, and you run towards just the light, purely the light, the projection of the shadow behind you grows, and it starts to become and consume you. See what I mean? So I've been trying to do the opposite of what you're kind of saying. I've been running into the fear, facing it head on, trying to understand what it really is. Why do I fear death? Why do I fear hunger or thirst or bodily harm? I mean, it's dangerous, and it's shit nobody talks about.
It's true because we don't want to reveal our insecurities.
Right? A lot of us just cast it into the shadow.
Yeah. Well, when you embrace your fear and you overcome your fear by embracing it, by being aware of it, by looking at it, it then shows to people. People can feel the absence of that. You'll be radiating a very different energy. So you're right. You have to walk towards the shadow and embrace it in a way to ultimately let it dissipate.
It never disappears though.
Yeah, it's
Even
true.
if you get infinitely far from the light source, the shadow will become about as big as you. Projection wise.
Yeah. It's how you perceive the fear.
Mm-hmm.
The fear is there. How do you perceive it?
And how do you use it? How not how do you consume it? That's the word I'm looking for. You assimilate it.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
Just one part of many.
Do you want to call it a day?
Yeah. It's been good, man.
Yeah. I mean, for the
podcast, yeah. Yeah, man. It's been a while since I've done podcasts. I've stopped doing my own.
Yeah, I stopped creating when COVID
Yeah.
started. Seriously, after some time, I got out of the creative mode. I went into the more consuming mode,
Same.
and now I want to get back in the creating mode. So that's why we're doing this. This is great, getting back into it, and expressing myself. Something
Mm-hmm.
I want to do.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Well,
for
we've
coming
completed
today.
the loop. You came on mine, now I came on yours.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, man.
wants to move.